You are not defeated by situations. You are defeated only when your mind refuses to think clearly. Every challenge you face is neutral. It carries no power of its own. The only power it ever has is the power you give it through your thoughts. If you want to win in life, you must first learn to win inside your own mind. Most people live at the mercy of circumstances. They react, they panic, they complain. But the few who rise above the crowd do something different. They train their brain to stay calm, to think straight, and to act with intelligence no matter what storm appears. That is the secret of outsmarting any situation. Your brain is like a powerful machine. But a machine without control is dangerous. If you allow fear, doubt, and negativity to operate it, your life will move in the wrong direction. But if you discipline it with focus, confidence, and purpose, that same brain will become your greatest weapon. Understand this clearly. Every problem you face arrives in two forms. First as a mental test, and second as a physical event. Win the mental test, and you automatically win the event. Lose the mental test, and even small difficulties will break you. Training your brain begins with controlling your reactions. Weak minds react instantly. Strong minds pause, analyze, and then respond. The moment something unexpected happens, your first duty is not to panic. Your first duty is to think. Calm thinking is the highest form of power. You must program your mind daily with strength. Tell yourself again and again that you are bigger than any problem. Repeat it until it becomes a belief. Belief is the engine that drives intelligent action. When your brain truly believes it can handle anything, it begins to search for solutions instead of excuses. Every situation has a solution hidden inside it, but only a trained mind can find it. Confused people see obstacles. Focused people see strategies. That difference is not luck, it is mental conditioning. Discipline your thoughts. Do not allow your mind to run wild with negative imagination. Fear is nothing more than a bad habit of thinking. Replace it with the habit of calm confidence. The brain obeys whatever you repeatedly feed it. Feed it courage, feed it certainty, feed it control. You must also develop mental flexibility. Life changes fast. Conditions change without warning. The person who survives and wins is the one whose brain adapts quickly. Refuse to be mentally rigid. Learn to adjust, to rethink, to create new plans instantly. A trained brain never says it cannot be done. It asks, how can this be done? Clarity of purpose sharpens the mind. When you know exactly what you want, confusion disappears. Most people lose battles because they have no clear direction. Decide your goal, burn it into your mind, and let every thought move toward it. Purpose gives the brain unstoppable energy. Remember, pressure reveals the true condition of your mind. Anyone can stay calm when life is easy. Champions remain calm when life is hard. Train yourself to breathe, to think, and to act wisely even when everything around you shakes. Do not wait for perfect conditions. Perfect conditions never come. Train your brain in the middle of chaos. Practice controlling your thoughts when you are tired, frustrated, or afraid. That is where real mental strength is built. The world belongs to people who think better than the rest. Physical strength is limited. Money can be lost. Opportunities can disappear. But a powerful, disciplined mind can rebuild anything. It can outsmart poverty, failure, rejection, and misfortune. From this day forward, make a decision. Decide that no situation will ever control you again. Decide that your mind will remain steady, confident, and alert. Decide that you will think like a leader instead of reacting like a victim. Every morning remind yourself, I am in command of my thoughts. I am in command of my emotions. I am in command of my actions. Repeat it until T becomes your natural way of living. Train your brain to search for solutions, not sympathy. Train it to stay calm under pressure. Train it to see opportunity where others see disaster. When you master this, nothing in life will intimidate you. Greatness is not a gift. It is a mental habit. Victory is not an accident. It is the result of disciplined thinking. The future does not belong to the strongest or the smartest. It belongs to those who control their mind with the greatest determination. You have within you a mind capable of outsmarting any situation on earth. Use it, train it, strengthen it. And watch how every challenge begins to bow before you, because the moment you truly train your brain, there is no problem powerful enough, no obstacle big enough, and no situation difficult enough to ever stand in your way again. The brain becomes powerful only when it is disciplined and directed. That single truth separates the strong from the weak, the winners from the quitters, and the leaders from the followers. Every human being is born with an extraordinary mind, yet most people never learn how to use it. They allow it to wander, to worry, to doubt, and to fear. A mind without direction is like a ship without a captain, drifting wherever the winds of life decide to push it. Real power does not come from muscles, money, or titles. Real power comes from a trained way of thinking. When you learn to command your thoughts, you begin to command your life. Situations stop controlling you. Problems stop frightening you. Obstacles stop confusing you. Everything changes the moment your brain is brought under discipline. Most people wake up each day and allow their mind to be hijacked by circumstances. They react to news, to opinions, to difficulties, and to emotions. They never stop to realize that reaction is weakness. True strength begins when a person chooses to respond instead of react. A disciplined brain pauses, evaluates, and then acts with intelligence. Training your brain means deciding what you will think about and what you will refuse to think about. It means rejecting negative imagination and replacing it with clear, confident focus. The world is full of distractions, but a powerful mind does not chase every noise. It stays fixed on its purpose like a laser beam. Every situation you face tests the condition of your mind. When pressure arrives, the untrained brain panics and collapses. The trained brain becomes calm and sharp. It searches for answers instead of excuses. It looks for opportunity instead of running from difficulty. Discipline turns confusion into clarity. Your thoughts are seeds, and your life is the harvest. If you plant fear, you harvest failure. If you plant confidence, you harvest success. The brain obeys repetition. Whatever you repeat to yourself daily becomes your reality. That is why mental discipline is more important than talent or luck. To outsmart any situation, you must learn to control your inner conversation. The voice inside your head must be trained to speak courage, logic, and determination. When challenges appear, tell yourself that you are prepared, that you are capable, and that you will find a way. A directed mind always discovers solutions. Great achievements are never accidents. They are the result of organized thinking. People who win in life do not have fewer problems than others. They simply have better mental habits. They refuse to be emotional prisoners of events they cannot control. Discipline of the brain also requires emotional mastery. Anger, worry, jealousy, and fear are enemies of clear thinking. When emotions rule, intelligence disappears. When calmness rules, intelligence rises. Learning to stay composed in difficult moments is one of the highest forms of mental training. Every day you must practice thinking on purpose. Choose goals that stretch you. Visualize the outcomes you desire. Speak to yourself with strength. Refuse to let small setbacks shake your confidence. The brain grows stronger the same way a muscle grows stronger, through constant use and constant challenge. A powerful mind does not waste time complaining about unfairness. It understands that life rewards those who adapt quickly. Flexibility is a mark of intelligence. When plans fail, the disciplined brain creates new plans. When doors close, it searches for new doors. It never surrenders control to despair. Focus is the foundation of all mental power. The average person thinks about 100 different things and accomplishes very little. The exceptional person thinks deeply about a few important things and builds an extraordinary life. Direction gives the brain unstoppable energy. You must guard your mind like a treasure. Be careful what you read, what you watch, and what you listen to. Every influence shapes your thinking. A disciplined person feeds the brain with ideas that strengthen, not weaken. Mental nutrition determines mental performance. No situation is ever stronger than a well-trained brain. Difficult moments bow before calm reasoning. Complex problems surrender to patient analysis. Fear dissolves in the presence of confident thought. The person who masters their mind walks through life with quiet, unshakable power. Each morning offers a new opportunity to practice mental discipline. Decide in advance how you will think, how you will act, and how you will respond. Make it a daily habit to train your attention, your attitude, and your imagination. Small victories of self-control create a lifetime of success. When the brain is directed toward a clear purpose, it becomes a problem-solving machine. It stops seeing limits and starts seeing possibilities. It refuses to be intimidated by failure. It understands that every setback is simply information for the next attempt. Strength of mind is not inherited. It is built moment by moment through conscious effort. The more you demand from your brain, the more it gives you. Discipline turns ordinary people into unstoppable forces. Direction turns dreams into realities. Control of thought creates control of destiny. The future belongs to those who make their mind obey their will and keep it moving forward with unwavering determination. Every situation is first won or lost in the mind before it appears in reality. That is not a theory, it is a law of life. Long before results show up in the outer world, a battle has already taken place inside your thoughts. Victory and defeat are decided internally before they ever become visible externally. What you see around you today is nothing more than a reflection of how you have been thinking up to this moment. Most people believe that circumstances control their outcomes. They wait for things to improve before they improve. They hope for better conditions before they attempt better actions. But the truth is far more powerful. Conditions do not create thoughts. Thoughts create conditions. The mind is always the starting point of every success and every failure. When a challenge appears, two people can face the exact same situation and experience completely different results. One person sees danger, difficulty, and limitation. The other sees opportunity, strategy, and possibility. The situation is identical, but the mindset is different. That difference in thinking determines everything that follows. A problem never defeats you by its size. It defeats you by the way you interpret it. If you look at an obstacle and decide it is impossible, your brain immediately stops searching for answers. The moment the mind accepts defeat, action disappears. But if you look at the same obstacle and decide there must be a way through it, your brain begins to work like a powerful machine designed to find solutions. Reality obeys the instructions of your dominant thoughts. If your mind is filled with fear, hesitation, and doubt, your actions become weak and confused. Weak actions naturally produce weak results, but if your mind is filled with confidence, clarity, and determination, your actions become strong and focused. Strong actions create powerful results. The outer world only mirrors the inner world. Before any person builds a great life, they first build a great mindset. Before any goal is achieved, it is first achieved mentally. Before any dream becomes real, it is first accepted as real inside the imagination. The mind always travels ahead of experience. Many people lose in life not because they lack ability, but because they lose the mental battle too early. They talk themselves out of opportunities. They convince themselves that success is for others. They surrender internally long before they ever attempt externally. Defeat begins as a quiet thought long before it becomes an open fact. To win any situation, you must first win control of your thinking. You must refuse to let panic make decisions for you. You must refuse to let temporary emotions shape permanent choices. Calm, disciplined thinking is the foundation of intelligent action. A steady mind creates steady progress. Every achievement in human history was first a thought that refused to die. Every invention, every business, every victory began in the private space of someone's imagination. The visible world is built from invisible beliefs. Change the belief and you change the result. Your brain is constantly taking orders from you. When you say a situation is hopeless, your mind obeys and proves you right. When you say a situation can be handled, your mind also obeys and begins searching for ways to make it true. The mind does not argue with instructions, it simply follows them. Strong people understand this secret. They guard their thoughts carefully. They do not allow circumstances to bully their confidence. They decide in advance that they will remain mentally in control no matter what happens around them. That decision alone gives them an advantage over the majority. Life tests everyone. Pressure, uncertainty, and difficulty eventually arrive at every door. The difference between those who rise and those who fall is not luck. It is mental preparation. A trained mind meets problems with logic. An untrained mind meets problems with fear. You must learn to win early, in the quiet place where thoughts are formed. Before speaking, before acting, before reacting, win the battle within yourself. Replace confusion with clarity. Replace worry with focus. Replace doubt with belief. The outer struggle becomes far easier when the inner struggle is already settled. The world responds to the way you think about it. When you expect to fail, you unconsciously behave in ways that invite failure. When you expect to succeed, you behave in ways that pull success toward you. Expectation is a silent force, shaping every result you experience. Nothing powerful is created by accident. Confidence, courage, and achievement are all born in the mind first. A person who masters their thinking masters their future. A person who cannot control their thinking becomes a servant to circumstances. Train yourself to remember that no situation arrives with a fixed meaning. You assign the meaning with your thoughts. You decide whether an event will be a disaster or an opportunity. You decide whether a setback will stop you or strengthen you. The mind is always the judge before reality delivers the final verdict. Every day, every hour, every moment, you are shaping your future through invisible mental decisions. Long before the world knows what you will become, your thoughts have already chosen a direction. Long before success knocks on your door, it waits for permission inside your mind. Focused thought is the master key to control fear, doubt, and confusion. That single ability, more than talent or education, decides whether a person rises above life or remains trapped beneath it. The world is full of intelligent people who achieve nothing because their minds are scattered. Power is not created by many, though. Power is created by concentrated thoughts aimed in one clear direction. Most human problems are not problems of circumstance. They are problems of unfocused thinking. When the mind jumps from worry to worry, from idea to idea, from fear to fear, it becomes weak and unstable. A scattered mind multiplies confusion. A focused mind destroys it. The difference between success and failure is often nothing more than the ability to hold one thought steadily until it becomes reality. Fear survives only in a distracted mind. Doubt grows only where attention is divided. Confusion rules only where thinking is careless. The moment a person learns to aim their mental energy like a sharp beam of light, those enemies begin to disappear. Focus brings order. Order brings confidence. Confidence brings results. Every great achievement in history was born from focused thought. Nothing powerful has ever been built by a wandering mind. Buildings, inventions, businesses, and victories all came from someone who refused to let their attention drift. They held one idea long enough for it to grow strong. That same ability is available to anyone willing to develop it. The human brain is incredibly powerful, but it must be directed. Left on its own, it runs in every direction at once. It remembers old failures, imagines new disasters, and creates problems that do not even exist. Focus acts like a commander that brings discipline to mental chaos. It tells the brain what matters and what does not. When fear appears, focused thought examines it calmly instead of running from it. When doubt whispers, focused thought answers with clear reasoning. When confusion tries to take control, focused thought cuts through the noise and finds a simple path forward. Concentration turns emotional storms into manageable challenges. Most people allow their attention to be stolen every minute of the day. They think about their past, their worries, other people's opinions, and endless distractions. Then they wonder why their life feels out of control. A life without focus becomes a life without direction. Wherever attention goes, energy flows. Learning to focus is learning to live intentionally. It means deciding what deserves your mental power and refusing to waste it on anything else. It means choosing one goal and giving it your full intelligence instead of giving half effort to 100 different things. Great results demand undivided attention. Doubt is nothing more than misdirected thinking. When the mind is unfocused, it invents reasons why something cannot be done. But when attention becomes sharp and steady, the same mind begins to search for ways it can be done. Focus transforms questions into answers and hesitation to action. Confusion disappears the moment thinking becomes organized. Problems feel overwhelming only when they are faced with a messy mind. Break them down with concentrated thought, and they become simple and manageable. A focused thinker does not panic in complexity. They calmly reduce complexity to clarity. Every day you are given a choice. You can allow your mind to be pulled in every direction by distractions and emotions, or you can train it to obey your commands. Focus is a habit built through daily practice. It grows stronger each time you refuse to be mentally scattered. Successful people are not free from fear or doubt. They simply know how to control them through focused attention. Instead of feeding their worries, they focus on solutions. Instead of replaying their failures, they focus on their next move. Instead of imagining the worst, they concentrate on creating the best. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your focus. Weak focus creates weak performance. Strong focus creates powerful performance. Talent without focus is wasted potential. Opportunity without focus becomes missed opportunity. Effort without focus turns into frustration. To master your life, you must first master your attention. Decide what truly matters and give it everything you have mentally. When you work, focus on working. When you plan, focus on planning. When you dream, focus on dreaming with clarity and purpose. Divided attention produces divided results. The mind becomes fearless when it is focused. It becomes confident when it is focused. It becomes creative and resourceful when it is focused. Concentration unlocks abilities that remain hidden in a distracted person. What looks like genius in others is often nothing more than disciplined attention. Every challenge bows before a mind that refuses to be distracted. Every obstacle weakens in front of a person who can think clearly and steadily. Focus does not remove problems from life, but it gives you the power to handle them with calm authority. You were not created to live in mental confusion. You were created to think with strength and direction. The moment you learn to command your attention, you begin to command your destiny. A focused mind walks through difficulties with certainty. A focused mind turns intention into achievement. A focused mind stands unshaken in the middle of chaos. A focused mind builds a life that obeys its vision. Problems shrink when met with calm logic instead of emotional reaction. That truth alone can change the entire direction of a person's life. Every difficulty feels enormous when emotions are in control, and every difficulty becomes manageable the moment clear thinking takes command. The size of a problem is rarely the real issue. The way you respond to it is always the real issue. Most people do not fail because their challenges are too big. They fail because their reactions are too small and too emotional. The instant something goes wrong, they panic, complain, worry, and imagine the worst possible outcome. In that moment, the problem grows in their mind far beyond its actual size. Emotion magnifies difficulty. Logic reduces it. A calm mind is a powerful weapon. When you refuse to react in fear, you give yourself the space to think. Thinking creates solutions. Panic only creates more problems. The world is filled with people who make bad situations worse simply because they allow their feelings to take control of their decisions. Every problem arrives carrying two possibilities. It can become a disaster if you meet it with anger and fear, or it can become a simple task if you meet it with patience and reason. The problem itself does not decide your future. Your response decides everything that follows. Emotional reaction is the enemy of intelligence. When emotions rise, judgment falls. Words are spoken that should never be spoken. Decisions are made that should never be made. Actions are taken that later bring regret. Calm logic protects you from those costly mistakes. Great achievers understand this principle deeply. They do not waste energy shouting at problems. They do not collapse under pressure. They pause. They breathe. They analyze. They break large challenges into small steps. They treat difficulties like puzzles to be solved instead of threats to be feared. Nothing confuses a problem more than a person who refuses to be intimidated by it. When you stay calm, you immediately gain control. When you react emotionally, you immediately lose control. Control is always the first victory in any difficult situation. Most problems appear overwhelming only in the first emotional moment. Give yourself time to think, and they begin to lose their power. A bill that looks terrifying at midnight becomes manageable in the morning. A conflict that feels impossible in anger becomes simple after calm conversation. Logic has the ability to bring perspective back to distorted situations. The habit of calm thinking must be practiced daily. It does not appear automatically. The natural human instinct is to react. Discipline teaches you to respond instead. Response is thoughtful. Reaction is reckless. Response builds solutions. Reaction builds chaos. When something unexpected happens, your first duty is not to speak. Your first duty is not to act. Your first duty is to think clearly. The few minutes you spend calming your mind can save you years of unnecessary struggle. Patience in the face of trouble is a form of mental strength. Problems are often nothing more than questions waiting for intelligent answers. But emotional people never hear the question because they are too busy screaming at the situation. Calm thinkers listen. Calm thinkers observe. Calm thinkers find the path that emotional people overlook. Life does not reward the loudest reactions, it rewards the clearest decisions. Businesses grow, relationships survive, and careers advance because someone in the middle of confusion chooses to remain calm and logical. That single choice separates leaders from victims. Every time you allow emotion to control you, the problem gains authority over your life. Every time you choose logic, you take that authority back. Real power is not in avoiding difficulties. Real power is in facing them with steady intelligence. Even the most complicated situations are built from small pieces. Logic knows how to separate those pieces and deal with them one at a time. Emotion mixes everything together into one frightening mess. The calm mind organizes. The emotional mind exaggerates. Training yourself to remain calm is one of the greatest skills you can develop. It protects your health, your relationships, your money, and your future. People who react emotionally live in constant crisis. People who respond logically live in constant progress. No problem respects drama. No problem disappears because of anger. No problem gets solved by fear. Problems only respect clear, rational action. They only surrender to people who think instead of panic. The strongest individuals are not those who never face trouble. They are those who never lose their mental balance when trouble appears. They understand that staying calm is not weakness. Staying calm is strategy. Every challenge you meet in life is an opportunity to practice this power. Instead of asking why something happened, ask what can be done. Instead of blaming, start planning. Instead of worrying, start working on a solution. Logic always moves forward, while emotion keeps people trapped in place. When you master calm thinking, you begin to notice something remarkable. Problems that once frightened you no longer have the same effect. Situations that once seemed impossible begin to look simple. Confidence replaces confusion. Order replaces chaos. The world will never be free of difficulties. Unexpected events will always appear. But a person who meets them with calm logic walks through life with a quiet advantage. While others lose their heads, that person keeps their mind. While others create storms, that person creates solutions. Calm logic turns mountains back into molehills. Calm logic transforms fear into action. Calm logic reduces complicated battles into winnable steps. Calm logic gives you control over circumstances that once controlled you. Calm logic builds a life of strength, stability, and unshakable inner power. Repetition of strong beliefs reshapes the way the brain responds to pressure. That simple principle holds more power than most people will ever realize. The human mind is not fixed. It is not permanently programmed. It is shaped and molded every day by the thoughts that are repeated again and again. What you consistently tell yourself becomes the foundation of how you think, how you act, and how you react when life becomes difficult. Pressure does not reveal character as much as it reveals mental conditioning. When challenges arrive, the brain does not create a new response in that moment. It simply repeats the patterns that have already been built inside it. If fear and doubt have been repeated for years, pressure will bring out fear and doubt. If confidence and strength have been repeated for years, pressure will bring out calm determination. Most people allow their beliefs to form by accident. They absorb negative ideas from their environment, from failures, from other people's opinions, and from past disappointments. Then they wonder why they feel weak when life tests them. The brain responds exactly the way it has been trained to respond. Repetition is the teacher that programs every reaction. A strong belief is not created in a single day. It is built sentence by sentence, thought by thought, and habit by habit. When a person repeatedly tells themselves that they are capable, resilient, and in control, the brain slowly accepts that message as truth. Over time, that truth becomes automatic. In moments of pressure, the mind falls back on what it has heard the most. The world is full of people who want to be confident but practice doubt every day. They speak weakness, think weakness, and expect strength to magically appear when it matters. But strength never grows from occasional positive thinking. Strength grows from disciplined repetition. The mind believes what it hears most often. Every belief you hold is nothing more than a thought you have repeated many times. At some point in your life, you decided something about yourself and kept reinforcing it. You repeated it until it became part of your identity. The same process that created limiting beliefs can also create powerful beliefs. The brain does not care whether the message is good or bad. It only cares about consistency. Under pressure, untrained, mind becomes chaotic. It panics, overthinks, and imagines disaster. But a trained mind behaves differently. Because it has been filled with repeated messages of control and confidence, it automatically searches for solutions instead of excuses. That difference is not luck. It is mental programming. Repetition acts like a sculptor shaping the brain. Each time you repeat a strong belief, you carve away a little more fear. Each time you affirm courage, you weaken hesitation. Each time you declare determination, you strengthen your inner foundation. Over months and years, this process creates a completely different mental structure. Many people wait for difficult moments to try to become mentally strong. That is too late. Pressure only exposes what already exists inside you. Real preparation happens long before the test arrives. The daily repetition of powerful beliefs builds an inner shield that protects you when storms appear. Your brain is always listening to you. It listens to your private thoughts, your spoken words, and your inner dialogue. If you constantly repeat that life is hard, that you are unlucky, and that problems are too big, your brain learns to respond to pressure with hopelessness. If you constantly repeat that you are disciplined, focused, and capable, your brain learns to respond with confidence. This is why the same event can break one person and strengthen another. The event is not the deciding factor. The belief system behind the mind is the deciding factor. Pressure squeezes out whatever has been planted inside through repetition. Successful people understand this secret, even if they never explain it. They deliberately program their minds every day. They feed themselves thoughts of resilience, patience, and certainty. They do not wait for the world to encourage them. They encourage themselves until it becomes natural. Changing your mental response to pressure begins with changing your daily mental habits. Speak strength even when you feel weak. Declare courage even when you feel uncertain. Affirm control even when life feels chaotic. The brain learns through practice, not through occasional inspiration. Repetition slowly rewires the inner machinery of thought. What once felt impossible begins to feel normal. What once caused anxiety begins to feel manageable. Confidence stops being an act and starts becoming a natural state of mind. That transformation happens quietly, one repeated belief at a time. Eve. Erie Morning offers a new opportunity to program yourself correctly. Every day gives you the chance to reinforce the kind of person you want to become. The more you repeat powerful beliefs, the more deeply they sink into your character. Eventually, they stop being statements you say and become truths you live. Pressure is unavoidable in life. Challenges, deadlines, conflicts, and uncertainties will always appear. But the way your brain meets those moments is completely within your control. You decide in advance how strong you will be by the thoughts you choose to repeat today. The mind becomes whatever it is trained to become. Weak repetition creates weak reactions. Strong repetition creates strong reactions. Fearful repetition creates fearful responses. Confident repetition creates confident responses. The process is simple, steady, and unstoppable. When you make the decision to fill your mind daily with powerful beliefs, you begin to build an inner fortress that no outside event can easily shake. Over time, pressure stops feeling like a threat and starts feeling like a challenge you are fully prepared to handle. The brain obeys what it hears most often. It rises or falls to the level of its repeated instructions. Clarity of purpose turns obstacles into stepping stones. The moment a person truly knows where they are going, every difficulty in life changes its meaning. What once looked like a wall becomes a ladder. What once felt like resistance becomes direction. Purpose has the power to transform confusion into confidence and struggle into progress. Most people are not defeated by obstacles. They are defeated by a lack of clear direction. When a person has no strong purpose, every small problem feels heavy. Every delay feels like disaster. Every setback feels personal. Without a definite aim, the mind has nothing solid to hold on to, so it panics at the first sign of trouble. But when purpose is clear, the entire inner world changes. A person who knows exactly what they want does not fall apart when challenges appear. They understand that obstacles are part of the journey, not signs to quit. Purpose gives meaning to pain and reason to effort. It turns random struggle into organized progress. Obstacles frighten only those who are unsure of their destination. When the goal is vague, fear becomes powerful. When the goal is sharp and specific, fear becomes small. Clarity acts like a bright light that exposes problems for what they really are. Temporary tests on the road to achievement. Every successful person in history faced enormous difficulties. The difference was not the absence of problems. The difference was the presence of powerful purpose. They knew where they were going, so they refused to be stopped by what stood in their way. Clarity gave them patience. Clarity gave them courage. Clarity gave them endurance. A person without purpose asks, "Why is this happening to me?" A person with purpose asks, "How can this help me move forward?" That simple shift in thinking changes everything. The same obstacle that breaks one individual becomes valuable training for another. When purpose is unclear, the mind becomes weak and distracted. It jumps from one idea to another, from one plan to another, never committing fully to anything. In that state, even small barriers feel impossible. But when purpose is burning and definite, The mind becomes strong, focused, and creative. It begins to search automatically for ways around every challenge. Clarity of purpose acts like a compass in the middle of a storm. While others are lost in confusion, the person with direction keeps moving steadily ahead. They may slow down, they may adjust their route, but they never forget where they are going. That inner certainty turns obstacles into useful experiences instead of permanent defeats. Problems do not disappear because someone has a purpose. Instead, problems begin to serve a purpose. They teach discipline, patience, skill, and resilience. NCE. What looks like opposition on the surface is often preparation in disguise. Only a clear mind can see this truth. Many people wait for easy conditions before they decide on a goal. That is why they remain stuck. Clarity must come first. When a goal is powerful enough, the mind finds energy even in difficult circumstances. Purpose pulls strength out of a person that they never knew existed. Every obstacle carries hidden lessons, but only those with clear direction take the time to learn from them. Others simply complain and retreat. The person with purpose studies the problem, extracts wisdom from it, and moves forward wiser than before. In this way, difficulties become stepping stones that lift them higher. Clarity also creates persistence. When a person is uncertain about what they want, they quit easily. When a person is absolutely certain, quitting becomes unthinkable. Obstacles may slow them down, but they never turn them around. Purpose builds a stubborn determination that refuses to accept defeat. Life tests everyone. The difference is that a person with purpose sees tests as opportunities to prove their commitment. Each challenge becomes a chance to grow stronger. Each setback becomes fuel for greater effort. What destroys ordinary motivation strengthens purposeful resolve. Clarity simplifies decision-making. When you know your destination, choices become obvious. You instantly recognize what moves you forward and what holds you back. Obstacles lose their power because your direction is already decided in advance. A strong purpose organizes the mind. It removes inner conflict and replaces it with focus. With focus comes creativity. With creativity comes solutions. Problems that once looked complicated begin to reveal simple answers to the person who refuses to lose sight of their aim. Obstacles are not placed in your path to stop you. They are placed there to prepare you. But that truth is visible only to the person who has decided clearly what they want from life. Purpose changes the story you tell yourself about every difficulty. Without purpose, people blame circumstances. With purpose, people use circumstances. Without purpose, obstacles feel unfair. With purpose, obstacles feel necessary. The event may be the same, but the interpretation is completely different. Clarity gives ordinary effort extraordinary power. It turns hard work into meaningful work. It turns frustration into determination. It turns fear into focused action. When purpose leads the way, nothing that happens is wasted. Every great achievement was built on a foundation of clear intention. Those who reach the highest levels do not reach them because the road was smooth. They reach them because their purpose was stronger than every problem they faced. Clarity of purpose creates a mindset that refuses to be defeated, a spirit that grows stronger with every challenge, and a life that rises higher with every obstacle overcome. A trained mind never panics. It plans, adapts, and conquers. That single ability separates the person who collapses under pressure from the person who rises above every challenge. Panic is the language of an unprepared mind. Control is the language of a disciplined mind. When trouble appears, the untrained thinker reacts in fear, but the trained thinker responds with strategy. Life constantly tests human beings with unexpected situations. Problems arrive without warning, plans fall apart, circumstances change in an instant. In those moments, the true condition of a person's mind is revealed. A weak mind becomes emotional and confused. A strong mind becomes calm and focused. Training the mind is nothing more than preparing it to remain steady when everything else is shaking. Most failures in life are not caused by a lack of opportunity. They are caused by a lack of mental preparation. People lose control because they never practiced staying in control. They panic because they never learned how to think clearly under pressure. The trained mind has already rehearsed discipline long before the crisis arrives. Planning is the first weapon of a powerful mind. Instead of crying about what went wrong, the trained thinker immediately begins to design what can go right. Planning means taking charge of a situation instead of becoming its victim. It means asking intelligent questions and creating intelligent answers. A person who plans never feels helpless because planning creates options. The untrained mind wastes precious energy worrying about things it cannot change. The trained mind uses that same energy to build new possibilities. Worry freezes action. Planning creates action. The difference between the two is the difference between defeat and victory. Adaptation is the second strength of a disciplined brain. Life never remains the same. Conditions shift. People change. Circumstances evolve. Those who refuse to adapt are crushed by reality. Those who train their minds to adjust quickly survive and succeed. Adaptation is mental flexibility in action. A rigid mind breaks under pressure. A flexible mind bends and keeps moving forward. The trained thinker does not complain that the world has changed. They change with it. They understand that stubbornness is not strength. Real strength is the ability to rethink, reorganize, and respond intelligently to new conditions. Most people panic because they are mentally stuck in old expectations. They want everything to remain comfortable and predictable. The moment something unfamiliar appears, fear takes over. But a trained mind expects change. It welcomes challenges as opportunities to grow smarter and stronger. Conquering is the natural result of planning and adapting. Victory does not belong to the loudest or the most emotional person. Victory belongs to the clearest thinker. When the mind is calm, it sees paths that panic cannot see. When the mind is organized, it finds solutions that confusion can never find. Every problem on earth has already been solved by someone who refused to panic. Every great achievement was built by individuals who faced uncertainty with intelligence instead of fear. They trained themselves to think while others were trembling. That habit gave them an advantage greater than money or talent. Training the mind requires daily discipline. It requires practicing calmness in small difficulties so that calmness becomes natural in big difficulties. It requires refusing to let emotions make decisions. The more a person practices self-control, the more powerful their thinking becomes. The mind behaves according to its habits. If the habit is panic, panic will appear automatically. If the habit is clear thinking will appear automatically. That is why mental training is more important than physical strength. Muscles cannot save a person who cannot think. A trained mind listens before it speaks. It analyzes before it acts. It considers before it decides. Those simple habits protect a person from countless mistakes. Emotional reactions create new problems. Intelligent responses solve existing problems. Pressure is not the enemy. Lack of preparation is the enemy. Challenges are not dangerous. Confused thinking is dangerous. The person who invests time in strengthening their mind builds an invisible armor that protects them in every area of life. Even in moments of failure, the trained mind refuses to surrender. It studies what went wrong and designs a better approach. It treats setbacks as information instead of tragedy. That attitude turns temporary defeat into long-term success. Calm thinking gives birth to confidence. Confidence gives birth to action. Action gives birth to results. Panic interrupts that entire chain. The trained mind keeps the chain unbroken by refusing to be controlled by fear. Every human being has the ability to develop this kind of mental power. It is not reserved for a special few. It is created through repetition, discipline, and determination. Each time a person chooses to think instead of panic, they grow stronger. Life will always present difficult moments. Storms will always appear without invitation. The difference between those who fall and those who rise is found in the way they meet those storms. The untrained mind sees danger. The trained mind sees a challenge to be mastered. When the mind is prepared, no situation feels impossible. When thinking is disciplined, no problem feels overwhelming. When mental habits are strong, fear loses its authority. The trained mind moves through chaos with quiet power, shaping events instead of being shaped by them. A person who masters their thinking masters their life. They do not wait for conditions to improve. They improve conditions with intelligent action. They do not beg for easier battles. They become stronger warriors. Every day offers a new chance to train the mind to plan wisely, adapt quickly, and conquer confidently. The more this habit grows, the less power circumstances hold. Control begins inside the brain before it ever appears in the outside world. A trained mind stands firm where others fall, thinks clearly where others panic, and moves forward where others give up. Confidence is not born. It is built through mental conditioning. No human being arrives in this world naturally fearless, naturally certain, or naturally unshakable. Confidence is not a gift handed to a chosen few. It is a skill created deliberately, strengthened daily, and protected fiercely. What people admire as confidence is simply the result of disciplined thinking practiced over time. Most people misunderstand confidence completely. They believe it appears automatically when success appears. They think they must wait to feel strong before they can act strong. But the truth is the opposite. Confidence is created first in the mind, long before it shows itself in action. It grows from repeated thoughts, repeated behaviors, and repeated courage. Every confident person you have ever seen was once unsure, nervous, and doubtful. The difference is that they refused to remain that way. They trained their mind to think differently. They practiced believing in themselves even when results were small. They conditioned their inner voice to speak strength instead of weakness. The human brain becomes whatever it is taught to become. If it is fed daily with fear, hesitation, and negative expectations, it produces insecurity. If it is fed daily with courage, self-respect, and determination, it produces confidence. Mental conditioning shapes identity. What you repeatedly tell yourself eventually becomes what you are. Confidence does not depend on perfect circumstances. It depends on mental habits. Two people can face the exact same situation, and one will feel powerless while the other feels prepared. The situation is identical. The conditioning is different. One mind has been trained to believe, and the other has been trained to doubt. Every time you avoid a challenge, you train your mind to be afraid. Every time you face a challenge, you train your mind to be brave. Confidence is built through action supported by strong thinking. Small victories of courage slowly turn into a powerful sense of self-trust. Most people wait for permission from the world before they believe in themselves. They wait for applause, approval, and perfect results. But true confidence never waits for outside validation. It grows from inside decisions. It grows when a person decides to think and act like